And I think this is an important feature in that book that we're going to explain anger, how to express it in constructive ways, how not to be the victim, and the kinds of leaders in the business world and in the political sphere, and also power and the corruption of power. Really brilliant chapters, and I can't wait. It'll be out, I think, in the 1st of May. So.
Yeah,
we're really looking forward to that being out. Okay,
yeah.
In this chapter, we talk about effective leaders and ethical leaders, and how you need to have both qualities. You need to be effective, but you also need to be ethical in that you don't want to have any methods of getting where you want that would hurt either the people in your country, your constituency, or people anywhere else. So the main thing is to do no harm and to serve others. That's underlies ethical leadership.
So why do you think there's been so little of it in politics?
Well, I think the things that draw people to positions of power aren't necessarily the most healthy characteristics. I mean, I think there's some people who are more emotionally stable, who are drawn to power, like Joyce said, who really do have that drive and that desire and a real wanting to give, perspective.
And serve.
And serve, right. And so, in other words, to do no harm and to really help. But I think there's another whole group of people that are drawn to power for all kinds of other reasons, you know, to fill needs of their own in terms of, you know, having to have a certain perspective or feel like they're better than other people. And, you know, people who are acting from that place and who have a lack of emotional maturity to bring to the situation aren't going to do a good job in that situation and are going to, you know, leads to a lot of the corruption and dishonesty and deceit and deception we've had in politics.
Yeah, in the book we quoted some research that says it seems like certain personality types are drawn particularly to positions of leadership. Narcissistic types, even sociopaths, Enron for example. People who are who are vain, who have a vain sense of importance that covers over so much inferiority feelings and so much insecurity, and that to these people, power can become like an aphrodisiac or like a narcotic, a drug. It's addictive. So they have to have more and more power. And some people start out, say there's a military coup and a really good leader comes in, and he really does have benevolent attitudes at first. But having that power can even make sometimes really good people become very addicted to it so that they'll do more and more and more. They'll go to more drastic means to keep their power. So this is what's happened a lot.
Mugabe's actually an example of that. Because
yeah.
when he first came in,
exactly.
I know, and then to turn to this evil tyrant.
Right, but he really morphed as a person from somebody who originally wanted to do good, but then was willing to go to horrendous ends and really be damaging to other people.
And do far worse than was done to him. Right.
Another thing we found is that as some of these very destructive leaders get older, they get more and more paranoid. And for example, Stalin, Adolf Hitler, Mao Zedong, all as they got older. In fact, in a biography of Stalin, they reported that he started worrying after he was 60 years old about his wrinkles. He was getting older, and he turned against his closest lieutenants and had a whole new purge of the people closest to him, besides the millions of people he killed before. So this fear of death makes people have to glom onto more power because they feel that they're special and they have all this power over other people. Therefore, they're going to be somehow immune to death. Death can affect the masses, but not them. Exactly.
It really is
a need for immortality on an unconscious level. But sometimes these people are so delusional, I think they almost believe it. They get very,
no, they do believe it.
They get so paranoid,
To do those things, you have to believe it.
Well, I mean, our last president talked in terms of good and evil. You know, human beings are human beings, and to, you know, label a whole country of other human beings as evil, you know, is a pretty scary concept. I mean, we're all people in the same boat, dealing with the same fears, dealing with, you know, having a life that we could choose to fully value in light of the fact that we're going to lose it. Or we can, you know, cut off those feelings about death anxiety, feel like we're better than these other guys, you know, we're the good, they're the evil, we can punish that, you know. It gets pretty crazy, and it really does away with that real feeling for humanity, that we're all human beings, all in the same boat, all dealing with the same struggles, you know, and if we looked at life that way, we'd have a very different perspective.
Wouldn't we?
and other people, other countries.
That's just too simple for humans to do that. We always need to take the complicated route.
Right.
To make it hard.
Well, what we often do is we take certain world views or nationalistic views or even certain kinds of religious views, and we think that God is on our side, we're right. But if somebody over there has a different view, and if we're using these religious views and this nationalistic view as a solution to the death problem, then their views are going to threaten our own. So we have to somehow get rid of them. Either we send missionaries at first to convince them of our views, or then we have to eradicate them because they're threatening our solution to the death problem, our way we have of dispelling death anxiety. So that's why a lot of people get into these religious ethnic wars, because of this very reason. But as Lisa said, if we could develop an inclusive view that we're all the same under the skin, we're all the same, we're fragile, we're human beings, we're all in the same boat, we're all going to die, that would bring out compassion and a feeling of kinship towards other people instead of this other stuff which is purely defensive and cruel.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think we'd have a whole different perspective on humankind. And have a very different worldview if we looked at life
and a very
that way.
different experience.
Yes. Yeah. And you know, that's a choice of my father's next book that they finished also on
life affirming death awareness. And the subtitle is Challenging Defenses Against Death Anxiety, challenging all these ways we try to push that away but ruin our relationships in the meantime.
And how not to be scared of death, because we're all scared.
How to really live with the sadness and some of the fear and some of the anxiety, but mostly the sadness of that we're going to miss people as they die, or we're going to miss ourselves. If, you know, at the end of our life, we won't be here anymore. So there's a poignant sadness that seems to come at the most happy times. People have told us this. The times when they feel the closest to their partner, they are struck by, wait a minute, life is so short. One woman said that. So that poignant feeling comes up, and there is some fear involved because it's a real thing that's going to happen. We don't know what's going to happen afterwards, but it's a big change that's going to happen to us.
And we don't like change much at all, let alone change of the drastic sort. We're not very fond of change as creatures.
Exactly. Well, thank God. On that note, we voted for the right change recently.
Right. Yeah. On that, I agree. I think we get to a point where we just can't keep making the same mistake again.
Well, it's been so much fun. Thank you both very much, and look forward to reading all the books.
It's been really nice talking to you.
Thank you.
I'm glad we got to do this.
Yeah.
This is really good.